All right, today I'm going to review this UHF Hi-VHF TV antenna from Multicomp Pro. I bought this from Newark Electronics, Canada for $40. It's available in the States for 29 bucks. I'll unbox it, assemble it, and test it out. Assembly was quick and easy. Took me less than 5 minutes to put the antenna together. All of the segments just snapped together with these spring-loaded clips, so no tools required really. I had to make one change though, as you can see on the picture on the box. These rear reflectors for the Hi-VHF element, they're actually backwards. They should be angled forwards like these UHF reflectors. So I took a minute and removed the mast clamp and flipped that bracket around, and I'm using this trusty little wrench I got with my Televes DAT BOSS antenna. It fits the bolts on this mast clamp quite nicely. And here it is, fully assembled. Length is just a little over 4 feet. Widest point is these back reflectors, 32 inches. Once you get this thing together, it's pretty solid. A lot of you probably noticed that this antenna bears a strong resemblance to the Televes DAT BOSS mixed TV antenna, especially with this front triple boom here. And it's missing that distinctive Televes yellow color, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. This is a $40 Canadian or $29 American TV antenna. It is bare bones, does not have the built-in preamp with the automatic gain control, 5G filtering, and all those cool bells and whistles that Televes has. It's really not fair to compare this to a Televes at all because it's not on the same level, and I think we both know that. But for 29 bucks, you're getting a lot of TV antenna here. I've seen those cheap flat antennas go for that price. And besides the quick assembly, something else I like about this antenna, all of these elements for the reflectors and directors are all one solid piece of tubing running right through this square aluminum boom, and then on the underside they're pinned in there with a screw. So that should hold those in there pretty well. One other thing I notice is these UHF elements here are very rough and sharp. They're just probably stamped pieces of metal, but there's no kind of polishing on them or anything. So you got to be careful because it's quite sharp. Like you could run your finger along here and cut it very easily. Something to watch out for. As I said, this antenna is for receiving UHF and Hi-VHF TV channels. This triple boom you see on the front here, these are actually directors for the UHF frequencies, channels 14 through 36. And the active elements for the UHF channels are these V-shaped elements on either side. And for the Hi-VHF channels 7 through 13, these dipole elements here on either side capture those signals. And then the back reflectors, these are the UHF reflectors, and these longer reflectors on the back are for the Hi-VHF channels. And here it is mounted on a mast about 17 feet in the air, pointed in the direction of my local broadcast towers. All 3 local stations in my area broadcast on the VHF band on RF channels 2, 4, and 9. And distance-wise, I'm about 7 miles away from the broadcast towers through the air. But the trade-off is that the broadcast stations in my area have very low transmitter power, being that they're on VHF. They only broadcast with 1.2 and 4.5 kilowatts. So we'll go inside now and check out the signal strength on my local stations. With the back reflectors angled forward the way you'd typically expect to see them on an antenna like this, RF channel 2 had a signal strength from the mid-50s to the low 60s. RF channel 4 had a signal strength from the mid to high 60s. And RF channel 9 had a signal strength from the low 80s up into the low 90s. I thought some of you might be wondering how this antenna performs with those reflectors angled backwards as pictured on the box. So I took a minute and flipped those reflectors around and put the antenna back up in the air. And now let's check the signal strength to see if there's any difference. And angling those reflectors backwards, as you see on the box, RF channel 2 did drop a little bit. The signal hovered around the mid 50s. RF channel 4 also a slight drop in the low to mid 60s. And channel 9 remained relatively unchanged, with the signal strength still hovering in the low 80s to low 90s. So this antenna is definitely made for the high VHF and UHF TV bands. Even though this antenna was able to pick up RF channels 2 and 4 on the low VHF band, to get any significant gain on those channels, you'd need to have much longer VHF dipoles and larger reflectors as well. All that being said, though, this antenna did an excellent job on RF channel 9, with the signal strength getting up into the low 90s, and presumably this antenna would do very well on the UHF TV band. Unfortunately, I can't test it in my area, but with that front triple boom director it has, that should provide good gain on the UHF channels 14 through 36. Overall, this antenna is a great buy. You're getting a lot of antenna for only $29 US, and I'd say this antenna would be very suitable for any city or suburban reception areas.